And launching on December 6th, we have the Palaces of Carrara, and this plays 2 to 4 players. It takes about 60 minutes to play. And this is coming from a team of designers with quite a lot of experience. We have Wolfgang Kramer that just has an obscene amount of games created, but he's famous for games like El Grande and Tikal and Downforce, as well as a ton of other games. And then we have Michael Kiesling that is most famous for creating Azul, but he also has a ton of other really excellent games like Vikings, and he also co-designed Tikal with Wolfgang Kramer as well, so they have worked together in the past. You might think that this game sounds familiar, or that you might have played it before, and that's probably true because this is a reprint for a game that's already been released in the past. So if you want to see any how to play videos or anything like that, there are a ton of them already out there. But the second edition is going to be making a few changes to the base rule set, and it's also going to add a completely new advanced mode as well. And if you haven't played this game before, it is a Euro game where players will have their own player board as well as a player screen, which they'll be using to hide the different resources that they've collected throughout the game. And there's going to be a few different endgame conditions that can trigger the end of the game. The main board is going to have a few different markets that players can purchase either blocks from or buildings, which will help them gain victory points or coins. And this is mainly where players will be performing their actions on their turn. A turn goes very quickly in this game, and you can choose one of 3 actions. And the first action you can do is to buy blocks from this rondel here. And this will always have 11 blocks on it, so anytime players are buying blocks from this rondel, it's going to be rotated, and then additional blocks are going to be drawn from a bag and added to it so that the total number of blocks adds back up to 11. And the important thing to note here is that as the rondel rotates, the prices of the blocks are going to change, and it's all outlined on the edge of the circle here where they get cheaper and cheaper as they rotate further down the rondel. Of course, if it makes a full rotation, it's going to go back up to the initial price, which may not happen too often because most of these blocks actually become free as they get in the final sections of that rondel. And the second action you can do is to build one of these buildings here, and this number up in the top right corner indicates how many blocks are required to build that building. And that's just telling you the number of blocks you need, but then depending on where you place it on your player board, that's going to dictate which blocks you can actually use to fulfill that building. So if you wanted to build it on the far right side of your board, you could use any colored block you want in any combination, but as you move to the left, it gets more and more restrictive, and on the farthest left side of your board, you can only use white blocks. So looking at this, you can start to see the relative value of the different blocks, since the white block can be used to build in any city, whereas the purple block can only be used on the farthest right side of your board. And the third action you can do is to score one of your cities or buildings. And the way that this works is that you can generate either victory points or coins depending on what you're choosing to score. And then your city is going to be multiplied by the buildings in that location. And this can only be done a limited number of times. So if you're scoring a building type, you'll just be putting a pawn out on your board to indicate that you've already scored that type. But if you're scoring a particular city, then you'll be putting your pawn out on the main board. In addition to some of the rule changes to the base game, they've also added a few new ideas, and that includes the addition of decorations or statues that can be purchased from the rondel, and you can see them in the center of the board here. And these can be purchased and added to your existing buildings to gain you more victory points at the end of the game. And if you are already a fan of this game and you're worried that you might not like these new rule changes, you'll definitely want to go ahead and follow the campaign, because it's going to be including a set of cards that will allow you to play with the older rule set. And I'm telling you this now because following now will get you those absolutely free, but if the campaign's already started, well, you should have subscribed to me earlier, and it's now going to be added as a €5 add-on. But either way, if you're interested in this game, I have links to all these campaigns in the description below.